Hello chess friends and welcome to Jozarov's chess channel and welcome to the Computer Chess Championship Season 11. So the so-called CCC is going on and we're following the best games that are played. Today I wanted to show you a great attacking brilliancy played by Stockfish against this other nice engine Stoofvlees. So Lila C0 made again many draws, so maybe Stockfish can catch up with some winning games, but then again Stockfish made again some draws, so it's really tough. These engines are also playing great chess, but there are really some attacking brilliancies played so far by Stockfish and Lila C0, and Lila C0 has still a comfortable lead with 2 points ahead of in front of Stockfish. So today I wanted to show you this really great attacking game played by Stockfish in the so-called Dutch defense, and a similar game was played between Nakamura and Fabiano Caruana, and Nakamura really crushed Caruana back in 2016 in this particular opening line that I showed you. And I had my troubles while playing against the Dutch defense because I'm a d4 player, but now watching this Stockfish games, Lila C0's games, in this several options, I don't think that I'll have troubles again to play against the Dutch, because you see now this particular line, it's really a natural line and it's really aggressive, and I think you can apply it in order to win a game against the Dutch defense, because the Dutch defense can really transpose into your static setup, into a positional game. Here Stockfish is not allowing these types of positions, going straight forward and goes for the attack. So let's see this perfect attack by Stockfish. We have d4, f5 by Stoofvlees, and now c4. The common idea with the possibilities to play g3, and now knight on f6, knight on c3, we have g6. And this g6 idea is similar to the King's Indian setup. The black's idea is basically to play d6, e5, creating here a sort of a pawn majority on the king side, then maybe f5, e4, f4, here to really attack white castle king after a couple of moves. But now Stockfish plays immediately a very aggressive line with the move h4. h5 simply weakens your pawn structure too much in front of your king, so there's no way that black is going to castle anymore. With some f3, g4 possibilities, we can really crack the position immediately. So that's why here Stoofvlees goes into a calm line with bishop on g7, but now Stockfish plays h5 anyway, because if you take with the g pawn, you have weakened your pawn structure too much. There are 3 pawn islands now, and they become really an object of white attack. So that's why Stoofvlees took with the knight, but now you see we have left the defense of this e4 square, and that's why it's possible now to push the pawn. So here Stockfish gave up a pawn in order to have this pawn central control, and in order to get his very important tempo here on g4. Here after f takes e4, we have g4, knight on f6, and now g5. If you jump with your knight here on h5, then bishop on e2 is very dangerous. You don't have a square for the knight. Here in the continuation we can recapture with the queen and attack the king, so that's why black is really forced to go back here on g8, and now it gives the opportunity for Stockfish to take this pawn on e4, and now e6 was played by Stoofvlees. If you try d5 immediately, it seems like a natural move, but it leads really into a complicated line. Here Stockfish can play, of course, c takes d5, and after queen and d5 the knight is attacked, and it seems now that white will lose also pawn, because we have a double attack on the pawn on d4. But here we have a very nice move, rook on h4. You cannot take really queen on d4, because then you get knight on f6, the discovered check, and you have to take with the bishop, then you lose the queen and it's game over. If you try something like bishop on f5 in this position after rook on h4, if you try bishop on f5 in order to attack, then bishop on g2 is also very dangerous, again with the possibility to create discovered attacks here even by the bishop. So you would here after e6 you see knight on f6, again the same idea, so you lose the queen and it's game over. So knight on e4, we have e6 preparing this d5 move even more, but now queen on e2, and now knight on c6, we have knight on f3. Here in the continuation, d5 was played by Stoofvlees, and now of course c takes d5, we have queen on d5, and now bishop on g2. Now if you take the pawn here on d4, again it leads to into a tactical battle. Knight takes on d4, queen on d4, now bishop on d2, leaving even another pawn hanging. After queen on b2, here rook on c1 would be the idea. Here you can take even another pawn, but now after castling, I think white has a really perfect attack. All of these pieces are on the best squares. Basically we want to include maybe our other rook into the attack, and here the queen is a little bit endangered. The c2 c7 pawn is hanging. We have even some possibilities to sneak in with our knight on f6. Even bishop on c3 is the possibility to get rid of the main defender here, the bishop on g7. So even with many pawns down, white has a better position here, because you can never develop these minor pieces again, and the white has I think a completely winning continuation here. So that's why after bishop on g2, here knight on e7 was played by Stoofvlees with the preparation to fix the position, to create a certain staticity. Knight on f5, really creating sort of a blocking system, but again Stockfish is not allowing any simplifications here. Knight on f6, immediately we have bishop takes on f6, and now g takes f6, knight on d4. Here played by Stoofvlees, we have knight takes on d4, and now bishop, queen takes the bishop on g2. But now we can play rook on f1, getting out of this mess. And of course Stoofvlees has this one tempo now, because Stoofvlees cannot escape with the knight, and knight on c6 was played. But now there is this problem, this e6 pawn is hanging, so that's why this queen on e2 was a perfect move. Here after king on f7, we have knight on g5, and you see already this king is endangered. Although you have this knight as the defender of this e7 square, still I would love to be white here in this position, of course. So with this endangered king, it's really an unnatural position for the queen, and the problem is you have always the possibility to put the queen on c4 and creating some dangerous attacks on light squares. And the good thing about this position of white is that you can attack with the queen on light squares, but you have also dark square bishop, which can cover maybe here a very important h6 square, and then attack the king after the king maybe moves here on f8. So when you play with your bishop and the queen, you want the queen always to have on this opposite colored squares than the bishop. So you see the queen would be dancing all over the light squares, then the dark square bishop would be dancing on dark squares here. So king on f6 was played here by Stoofvlees. A risky decision here, because you get the queen really even more endangered. Here the king cannot at least a little bit hide behind this white pawn. But now after king on f6, we have bishop on d2, natural move with the preparation to play bishop on c3, and it would be game over. So that's why knight on d4, closing somehow. It's really a desperate try here by Stoofvlees to close the dark squares. But now knight on e4, we have king on g7, and now this bishop on c3 idea, and now rook on d8. And now castling played by Stockfish. You see how Stockfish now has all of these pieces on best squares. The knight is centralized, the bishop is a very important diagonal, the rooks are on open and semi-open files, the queens has good diagonals, good lines, good attacking possibilities also on the 7th rank. So this is now perfect attack, and the evaluation here is simply winning for white. But let's see how Stockfish, of course, played an attacking brilliancy in this open position, because we saw in the past that Stockfish really loves this open position. Stockfish is playing very good in these types of position, in these positional battles, like in the game that Stockfish lost against Lila C0. I don't think that these are the games that Stockfish likes. Here bishop on g4 was sort of a try here by Stoofvlees to create a counter attack, but now queen on c4, of course, creating double attack against this knight. If you try to take the rook on d1, it's not a problem, because we can first take bishop on d1, and here after rook on d4 here queen takes on d4, the king has to move, and now we can take another piece. We're going again into a favorable endgame. We have also some attacking possibilities with knight on f6, even some checkmate threats, I think. So that's why this is not a good continuation here for black. So after queen on c4, c5 was played, trying to hang on to this outpost, but it's again not a problem. the same idea. Knight takes on c5, again attacking this d4 weakness, and now king on f8, rook takes on d4, and now rook takes on d4, bishop takes on d4. And again you see Stockfish stays with the queen on light squares because both of these pieces are cutting off black's king, cutting off the possibility to escape with the king. And basically what we want to do is just somehow include our rook in the attack, and this will be completely winning. So rook on e8, here f3, attacking the bishop. If you try bishop takes on f3, we can even try rook on f3, and even here we can try knight on d7, attacking the king. It leads now again to a very complicated line for black. After king on e7, we have knight on f6, attacking the rook, so I have to escape with the king, but we can simply take, and again this is simply lost for black. So in the game, bishop on f5 was tried by Stoofvlees, but now again knight on e4, closing the light square diagonal, because there were some threats here on c2, so we want to play much more freely with our queen. And it seems now that white loses the queen, but that's not true, of course, because we have this intermediate check, bishop on c4, c5, king on g7, and now queen on d4. King on g8 was played, and now rook on e1, and now the rook is in the game. We want to maybe go with a rook on the 7th rank and creating some checkmate threats here on g7. Bishop on e6 was played. If you try something like queen on f3, you see now how dangerous this attack by Stockfish is. Knight on f6. If you try with the king here on g7, then knight on g4, again the discovered attack. After king on g8, we have knight on h6, checkmate even. A very, very nice checkmate here with the queen and the knight, and the bishop supporting this f8 square. If you try here to escape with the king on f7, then rook on e7, and again it's a forced checkmate because you have only one square, the king on f8. But now rook on c7, discovered attack by the bishop, and this knight is covering both of the squares. This rook is covering the 7th rank, so again it's game over. So in the game, bishop on e6, but this game is really over here. Knight on f6 anyway, here played by Stockfish. We have king on f7, and now knight takes on h7 with the preparation again to create some dangerous attacks on dark squares. King on g8 was played, rook takes on e6, again getting another piece. Okay, Stoofvlees has some checks, but not perpetual checks. Here Stockfish can escape. Queen takes on h7 was playing, and now queen on d5 with some discovered attack possibility. The immediate threat is of course to play rook on e7, attacking the queen and also the king. So queen on h6, but now king on d3, very interesting idea. You see Stoofvlees doesn't have checks anymore. King on h8, and now bishop on d4, we have king on g8, rook on e7, we have king on f8, and now queen on f7. A very nice checkmate here by the rook and the queen. So see, great attack here by Stockfish. Let's go back to this particular line. I think it's a very cool line to play against this touch defense here after knight on c3 and g6 h4. Very interesting line. You can check it out, maybe try to see even more sidelines of this particular line. I think it's very aggressive, but you see it has also some success here by Stockfish, and I think you can apply it and win many games and surprise your opponent in this very nice opening. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this game. You can follow my previous videos from the CCC and some more instructive chess games of this chess games played by computers, and you can also watch my best chess games of all time, in which I show you all of the best chess games that have been ever played in chess history by Mikhail Tal, Bobby Fischer, and many more. See you soon with some more videos, and chess is the best, of course, guys.